Welcome back to Transfer Review, and today it is me and Michael telling you all about the papers, news, and going into a bit more detail about all the transfers. And Mikey, we're kicking it off with a f***ing big one.
It is a big one.
Cristiano Ronaldo may be leaving Real Madrid, and his destination could be Juventus in Italy. Now, it comes after his Champions League win last season in 16-17, when he was supposedly going to become the most well-paid player in football. That's what Florentino Perez promised him anyway. I think Messi and Neymar on about 40 million euros a year, and Perez said he'd pay him more. However, he won the Champions League this season just gone, and still nothing has happened. He came out in his interview, said he's not happy, and look, his contract runs until 2021, and his buyout clause was set to 1 billion euros. However, on top of that, that is allegedly also gone down to 100 million euros, apart from if you're Barcelona, PSG, and possibly Man City. Now, there's one big club that are after him, Mikey. Who are they? I've already said Juventus.
You've already said them.
Explain why.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's been all over the news, hasn't it, over the last day and a half. Juve apparently willing to meet that clause, 100 million euros. And yeah, some very reputable sources are saying that it's going to happen. Marca, who are not to be sniffed at, obviously have big links to the Bernabeu, have said that they're willing to pay that money, and have also claimed that Ronaldo is also willing and up for the move, which is pretty amazing. I mean, personally, I'm not going to believe this till I see it, because it happens every summer. This is the most convincing one yet.
We said that about Neymar though as well, didn't we? And he moved as well.
We say it about lots of ones, lots of transfers, and a lot of the time they don't happen. But like, this definitely does seem like the most legitimate situation yet for Ronaldo to leave Madrid. Obviously, last year he was crying about being prosecuted for tax fraud and stuff, wasn't he? And I think that was probably just a bit tied in with his kind of a saga with Florentino Perez. Seems like their relations may well be truly over now. But anyway, back to Juve. Apparently they're willing to give him a contract until 2022, which would see him get paid, I think, a net pay of about 30 million euros. Must be noted as well that what Ronaldo is on at the moment at Real is four times the amount that Juve's biggest earner, Higuain, is on at the moment. So I mean,
ridiculous.
Clearly Juve will have to do something to their wage structure in order to accommodate Ronaldo. They will probably have to get rid of Higuain.
100%.
I don't know whether they maybe used Dybala as part of this deal.
Well,
I don't know whether this would be a thing, but
there's been rumours linking Higuain to Chelsea because of salary, but also Rugani's I'd say basically, but he looks like he's on his way to Chelsea. I've also seen links with Pjanic moving. So if Ronaldo, as you said, is to come, a lot of players could be leaving.
That's a huge squad overhaul for a club who have really made a name for being very well structured, being very well balanced in terms of the way they conduct their transfer business as well. It's a very kind of un-Juve move.
Well, the whole thing I think Juve want to do it for is because of the Champions League. Why not sign the man who's won it the most times out of any other player, and is probably the most impactful player in the Champions League since. He's got the most goals. I think he scored the most goals in the Champions League 3 seasons in a row. I think he's highest is 17. And you know what? For £88 million, Ronaldo, 33, who seems to be getting better with age, it's not the worst thing in the world, I don't think.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, like, I don't know if this is necessarily directly related to on the pitch results, because I think obviously his scoring record is amazing. I think he'd do very well in Serie A, but I don't think his goals necessarily replace what Higuain and Dybala do, or at least, like, I don't know if they'd add to what they do already necessarily. Obviously he'd be playing solely as a centre forward, I expect, maybe on the left, but they're pretty well covered on the left. I think mainly, the commercial value of it. We were discussing this before, and I think considering that Juve, obviously they're the biggest team in Italy, but when you compare them to Barcelona, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, Man United, they're not quite as big players on the world stage in terms of their commercial value. And apparently just the talk of it has pushed up their stock by something like 10% on the market. That's what I was looking at. That might just be, people just spreading shit. But if that is true, that's pretty crazy. And I think, signing someone like Ronaldo just purely on his legacy and on everything, it suddenly puts Juve in the big league. In the same way that I think PSG felt like they needed to sign someone like Neymar in order for them to do so. Obviously, they made signings like David Beckham before, which had contributed to that. But I think that's what Juve had to gain from this. Whether they risk their Serie A title push as a result is, I don't know. It's a weird one. It depends who they have to get rid of, basically.
But there is one stumbling block, which could be his agent Jorge Mendes, who's been in an 11-year feud with Juve's board.
Really?
However, saying that, he did help orchestrate a move to Turin for Valencia's Juan Cancelo, suggesting that they may work again. But there's also other news from former CEO of Juventus, Luciano Moggi, who claimed that Ronaldo has already signed for Juve and did his medical in Munich, which makes sense because that's closer to Russia. I don't really know what to make of this. I think if it happens, we're not surprised. If it doesn't happen, we're not surprised. But what do you guys think? Let us know in the poll above.
So our next big piece of transfer talk concerns Manchester City, who have been a little bit quiet in the transfer market up until now, but apparently this week they could be wrapping up both the signing of Riyad Mahrez and Napoli's Jorginho. First, starting with Mahrez, obviously they've had a lot of interest in this guy for a while, haven't they? Had bids rejected in January. Leicester fended off interest for him. Clearly, very important player at the King Power, isn't he? And had an amazing season this season, perhaps as good as in the title-winning season.
Arguably, I wouldn't say it was quite as good, but
maybe the
it's still
results
a solid.
weren't as good, but his
season.
performances were excellent. But it looks like they could be agreeing on something like a £60 million fee.
I think that's fair, fair enough.
And then obviously Jorginho is coming in again, a long-term target of Pep, especially in the build-up to the summer. Had an excellent season at Napoli. Really ran things in the centre of the park for them. And apparently, the Italian is due to arrive in Manchester today. Stop press. As the clubs have apparently agreed a £48.5 million
That's not too bad.
deal.
It's cheaper than I thought it'd be.
Which is, very cheap considering the current market, considering the general demand for central midfielders at the moment, especially from English clubs. And apparently they've already found a replacement in Fabian Ruiz, Napoli have. But Zach, where do you think these two players will fit into Pep's project?
Jorginho-wise, I think can go maybe straight in, either partnering Fernandinho or arguably even like taking over Fernandinho's place. He is getting on now, and they have been looking for a long time for a player to replace him. Riyad Mahrez-wise is a bit more questionable. I think he has to go there accepting I'm not going to be starting every game. He'll definitely probably start on the bench as well. But he can do what Bernardo Silva did this season. Try and make an impact when you come on and eventually push yourself into the starting 11. Silva did it. David Silva as well, he can always get injured every now and again, you never know. And Aguero, if he was to get injured, they could push up Sterling into forward position, then comes Riyad Mahrez on the wing. And it's something that he could do. But I don't think it's a bad deal. I think £60 million is not too bad. It's good for Leicester, it's good for City. And I think that's the key thing that City needed to do now, is just, they've already got a core squad, and all they have to do now is buy players that they could fit in around them, / if someone is to get injured, help them out as an improvement on their current players. What's your thoughts?
For sure, I think I pretty much agree with you, to be honest. I think Man City are basically doing what Chelsea have failed to do in recent years, in which they've built on their success. And no one would really even have sniffed if City had not really made any major moves in the transfer market this summer, apart from maybe in central midfield, because they clearly do need options there. I think when it comes to Riyad Mahrez, I think, like you said, I think he is just going to have to accept that he's going to be on the bench and probably be reduced to FA Cup and League Cup starts, to be honest, because I think unless they do have major injuries, and obviously we saw the injury to Sane earlier in the season gave Bernardo Silva a route in, they're still very heavy on that right-hand side. There's not really that much cover on the left. Riyad Mahrez tends to play on the right or can play centrally as well. And the fact that Jorginho's coming in, if Pep decides that he wants to play him with Fernandinho, then what does that mean in terms of Kevin De Bruyne's position? Does he move further forward? And obviously David Silva as well. So they're very, very top heavy. I think there's still arguably there's still work to be done in the defence in terms of reinforcements at least, because they were very, very good defensively last season. But
Company, he's one injury away from basically retirement now.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, he has had a very strong 6 months, Company. But yeah, for sure, there's no certainty of him being around for long. If Otamendi or Stones get injured, then suddenly they cracks a bit. Yeah, for sure. I completely forgot about Laporte actually. But I still think, and in the full pack positions as well, they could probably do with cover. They've got a really well. It's hard to, you can't really complain as a City fan. But I don't know whether Mahrez is necessarily, at least not the best value signing.
The only complaint I'd have maybe as a City fan is maybe the issue of Chelsea, like you mentioned them, is your youth. You've got Phil Foden there. I think Brahim Diaz as well is also a very good talent. Yeah. And although Foden didn't play 5 games, he actually got a Premier League medal.
As did Diaz.
I feel like if you're getting Mahrez in, you're just going to look at it and go like Patrick Roberts kind of not even getting the squad, and he went back to Celtic and it failed for him in his second season. Yeah. If you're a youth player there, them signing older players, that are going to start and not give you a spot, isn't really promising, is it?
It's not totally promising. I think, and I mean, Pep has generally a fairly good record with youth. Although, with Patrick Roberts, I think with Patrick Roberts, I think maybe he just was never good enough to play for City anyway. He's clearly good enough to play for a Premier League club. But whether a club aspiring to be the best in the world, I'm not so sure. And I think the same will go for Foden and Diaz. I think Pep will have to judge them on their performances. Yeah. I think they will get more chances this season, regardless, for sure. Like especially in cup competitions. I think it's clear as well. Like the League Cup, for example, I don't think Pep really cares for it at all. So. Despite having won it this season. Did they win it?
They did win it. They did, yeah.
Yeah, cool. I almost completely forgot because they clearly weren't that bothered about it, were they? At least not until the final. So anyway, what do you guys think? Are these acquisitions good for City? Are they good for the Premier League? Are they good for the players, most importantly? What do you think of Jorginho? Because I probably haven't seen him play enough. I don't watch enough Serie A to really know his all-round talents. Clearly he is very, very highly rated. So let us know that as well.
Mikey, we've got a Chelsea transfer now, so I'm happy.
Are you?
No, not really, because it's about Kasper Schmeichel moving to Stamford Bridge because of his World Cup performance. To be honest, he has had a very good World Cup. He saved a few penalties. Unfortunately, he didn't get through to the next round because Croatia are really good, but he also saved Luka Modric's penalty, went to a penalty shootout, saved a few. As we said, didn't make it. From a point of view of Kasper Schmeichel, him joining is okay. I think he's in his 30s now, and that is his prime. That is a prime for a keeper. However, once you get into 33, 34, it's not that great. Especially when we've got Thibaut Courtois, who's still in his 20s and is performing well, and will only get better over time. I just don't feel it's really a progressive transfer if we were to bring him in and let Thibaut Courtois go, because at the end of the day, it is actually all about Thibaut Courtois, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's kind of indicative of how Chelsea have
annoyingly
conducted business over the last year, I feel. But Courtois, obviously, this has been an ongoing saga. The idea of him returning to Madrid, obviously this time to Real, who have been seemingly in search of a keeper for years now, despite Keylor Navas continuing to perform out of his skin for them. It's always a bit harsh for them, isn't it? Give the man a break, is what I say. Or at least just buy a new keeper and sell him somewhere where he's loved. Anyway, Courtois, obviously he has children in Madrid. This is one of the main things. Clearly he's kind of thinking about his family life, thinking about his life outside of football. And obviously Real Madrid are a pretty amazing destination to go to as a keeper. So it's a difficult one. The Belgian said he's going to decide his future after the World Cup. And I feel like after the World Cup is when everything could either click into place or become very sour at Chelsea. Obviously, Sarri is supposed to be coming in basically as soon as the World Cup finishes, right?
Well, I heard Monday, and it's gone past that now.
I mean, I don't really know. I haven't really been following that, to be honest. I haven't really been that interested in it. But I'd welcome Sarri in the Premier League. But I think, if Sarri comes in then, or if he doesn't, whatever happens, Chelsea have about a 3-week period in order to just get everything before the Premier League starts. So that's going to be really interesting to see. You know what? I think Chelsea's transfer business clearly has been pretty shambolic over the last year or so, arguably the last 2 years. But I don't think this is the worst move. I think if Courtois is to go, and clearly he's going for a lot for personal reasons, then you can't really stop him. Equally, he's also not the most consistent keeper.
True.
At least in terms of current form, I think Kasper Schmeichel is probably kind of near enough his level. I think Kasper Schmeichel generally is a safe pair of hands. He's not particularly prone to mistakes. Would you not say?
I would not mind Kasper Schmeichel being in goal. It's not a bad thing. However, I feel if we're going to let go of Courtois, over 100 million. I don't think, because he's so young and he's going to be at Real Madrid for a long time. Cash in on that. The only issue is whether he signs his contract or not, because Real Madrid can play with that. They just say we'll wait another year and get him on the free. Because on top of that, the other keepers that we should, in my eyes, be going for is either Oblak or Alisson at Roma. Alisson's also been linked to Liverpool a lot. However, that has seemed to die down a little bit recently. And Oblak, I think he's only going to leave if Chelsea or any club spend £100 million on him.
Which I think is silly. I don't see why the club isn't doing that.
Yeah,
he is the best.
He's 100%. One of the, I could argue he is maybe the best keeper in the world currently. Especially that game against Arsenal was unbelievable. Yeah. Basically kept them in the tie to win the Europa League, not Champions League. No. But so I feel like we should sell Thibaut Courtois for £100 million and then buy Oblak for the same money. If we have to spend a little bit more, fine, so be it. But essentially we'll be only paying another 20 million or something like that.
In an ideal world that would happen.
But we don't live in one. So Schmeichel, can't wait for you to have the number 1 shirt. See how you do next season, isn't it? Oh,
So our final transfer rumour of the week is also a Chelsea player, Willian, apparently to United or Barcelona. Tell us more, Zach.
Yes, well, apparently he's hoping to leave London this summer. There was obviously that public falling out between him and Conte when he posted that photo of us winning the FA Cup and then literally covering Conte in emojis. One of the weirder fallouts I think that's ever happened in football.
Yes, strange.
But yeah, last season he made 55 appearances in all competitions, scoring 13 goals, and was actually one of Chelsea's best players, especially for a few months when Hazard wasn't doing it. He came in, I remember a game against Brighton when he scored 2 and got me a lot of fantasy points, which I came second in the league, if you're wondering. Now, however, he was left out in the FA Cup starting lineup, which we won. And as we said, Barcelona and United are after him. But Mikey, which would be better for him? Let's start with United first.
I think in some ways United would probably be better for him. I think he would almost guarantee a starting place at Old Trafford, considering that United basically have no options on the right because they seem to be, Mourinho seems to be adamant that Sanchez cannot play there. So yeah, I think United would clearly be the better option for him. Obviously, he stays in the Premier League, which a league that he's very used to now. Very much knows his strengths.
Mourinho's also a massive fan of him, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty much the only player who kept on playing for him, wasn't he, back in
he signed him as well.
2015. So yeah, exactly. And Mourinho loves Brazilians as well. Claims that can't not have a Brazilian squad. So it could be the second Brazilian this summer after Fred. And obviously, Mourinho loves experience as well. Apparently, he's willing to pay £60 million for the 79-year-old.
I'd take it. I'd put that in the pocket.
Which is ridiculous.
Easily.
That is ridiculous money for a player who is. I really like Willian, but £60 million at 29 years old, I'm not really so sure. I think I'd much rather go for someone younger. I would have maybe rather have gone for someone like Lucas Moura back in January before he signed for Spurs, seeing as he wasn't going for anywhere near as much as that. But yeah, I'd say probably that would be the better option for him. I don't really see where he fits in at Barca, considering the fact that they have Ousmane Dembele on the right. They have, as backup for sure, but I don't know. At that age, it just doesn't seem like a very Barcelona signing for me.
Well, according to Sky Sports, Barcelona actually started talking to Willian a few months ago,
really?
Which is interesting. And on top of that, Coutinho has also been talking to Willian at the World Cup, because obviously they're together, and alerted Barcelona that Willian is desperate to play for them. Barcelona are also looking apparently to sell Paulinho, which could make room for Chelsea's Brazilian. The report, I'll be honest, it did surprise me when I saw the report saying that Barcelona had bid £52 million and had been rejected. Because I feel like £52 million for a player who is getting on now, Conte-wise, isn't favoured by the manager. It's, just put it in the bank. Like, spend it on another player, spend it on a younger player, spend it on another player at least. I just think it's a bit silly, and as you've already said, it doesn't really fit into the Barcelona squad. What would you say right now if you're Willian, your ties to United aside, would you go for?
Difficult one. Maybe go to Barcelona.
Yeah, because
I mean, in terms of playing time, you won't get as much, but probably enjoy yourself more at Barcelona.
Brazilians are also raised with the whole Real Madrid Barcelona thing, aren't they? Because that's where Ronaldinho played for essentially as well. He would have grew up looking at him.
Yeah, to an extent, and just the style of play as well. But I don't know. It's a difficult one. I think clearly, if you move to Barcelona, okay, you have maybe a bit more media attention, but I think living in Barcelona, better quality of life than in Manchester, let's face it. So I'd probably do that.
Should we send it to a poll,
being by the sea. Hey,
send it to a poll?
Yeah, throw it to a poll. Where would you go if you were Willian? Vote up there.
So that's the end of transfer review. As you can tell, Mike wants to get out of here. We're a little bit tired. It's a long day. It's hot. Make sure you're hitting us up on Instagram, on Twitter. Get us to 5k followers. Get Mikey to 10k followers.
Yes, please.
We need a brand deal. I'm not getting paid enough here. I really ain't. London's expensive. But Mikey, what should they do now?
There you go. Stat was the champions. Bobby Seagull versus Patrick Van Starten. Fantastic showdown that was.
Indeed.
And yesterday's World Cup review relived that great penalty shootout. Still can't believe it happened, to be honest. Anyway, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Bye.
Thanks very much. See you later.